Hello folks, this is Sullla once again. Welcome to another video for League of Legends, and we're going to be looking at one of the competitive 5v5 games. You might notice the all challenger banners here on everybody in these teams. This is one of the qualifying games for the LCS playoffs. This is between Team VVV, which is on the blue side up on the top of your screen, and Team TBD, Team To Be Determined, which is down on the bottom side. And this was taken from one of the games that they played over this past weekend in the qualifying for the North American LCS playoffs. So basically, there we're down to 6 teams, 6 amateur or semi-pro teams, and they're going to they did a round robin, and the top 3 teams would go on to play for a spot in the North American LCS, and this is one of those games from the round robin. If people enjoy this one, I'll see if I can try and pick out some of the other games and do those. Okay, anyway, so as you may have seen before with this streaming service, a high elo replays, they tend not to start right at the beginning of the game for some reason, and I'm not quite sure why that is. So just ignore the burst and flurry of action right there at the very beginning, and I'll immediately rewind this back to the beginning and we'll go from there. This was, I think, the most entertaining of the games that was played over the weekend. There were quite a few games played. Some big time upsets, although I won't go into any spoiler territory because, well, if you haven't seen them, you might not want to get spoiled. But in any case, there were some really surprising results, things that people weren't expecting, and we ended up with 3 teams going to the LCS playoffs that we didn't really expect to have happen. But in any case, this is one of those games. As I said, it's Team VVV, easy to see because they're all have VVV in their name, and then the red team is TBD, which is To Be Determined, as I understand it. So in any case, we don't have too much going on in terms of level 1 action. If you notice, VVV got a ward down at the blue buff of Team TBD, and TBD went and invaded the red side jungle of VVV and got some wards down. So a little bit of standard early warding play, but no early kills, no first bloods, anything like that. Let's just look briefly at the actual lineups for this game. For VVV, we have Get Snuggled, who's going to be playing as a solo lane Mundo. Mundo is actually quite popular right now in the competitive scene, just due to the fact that he can go top lane and basically sustain forever. Note the summoners, Barrier, Ignite, very unusual summoners here, but they actually do kind of work for solo lane Mundo. Going to be up against Westrice as Akali, and for those who have watched the competitive scene for a long time, Westrice is actually famous for playing as Akali. He's one of the, really has made a name for himself playing Akali in the competitive scene, as we see red buff steals by both teams, both junglers starting at the red of the other team right there. So they're going to be matched up against each other eventually. Right now we actually have 2v1 lanes going on both in top and in bottom lane. So we'll get to that in a second. In mid, we've got a great matchup here. We have Cheese Beluga for VVV playing as Kassadin. Yes, Kassadin not banned in this game. As I understand it, he was first picked because he was not banned, as I understand it, up against Arthalon for Team TBD. So this General Discussions likes to complain about how broken Riven is, so we may see that in this game. But in any case, yes, we do actually have a Kassadin in this game. Junglers on both sides. We have Porpoise Pops for VVV, jungling as Vi, and Broken Shard jungling as Lee Sin for TBD. And they both started by stealing the other side's red, and then they went and cleared their own blue. So similar jungle paths thus far. As far as AD and support, we have Tails and Godshu for VVV playing as Ezreal and Leona. They will eventually be matched up against Robert X. Lee, or Roberto X. Lee, playing as Lucian, and Bubba Dub supporting as Support Annie. Alright, so right here, we've already got sort of our first interesting play coming out in the match. So we both got 2v1 lanes in top and bot, and they're both shoving up the creep wave. So in both cases, now the jungler can either go and defend and make it a 2v2, or they can look to dive and make it a 3v1, and that's what both sides are doing. So we're going to have a dive on Mundo. He is going to pop his barrier. A nice job of switching off tanking the towers, and TBD is going to take first blood there. Now, it's the same 3v1 dive up here in the top lane. So how is Westrice going to handle this for TBD? He is also looking to get ganked here. 3v1 in the tower right there. He's going to actually flash over a stun from Leona, and then he escapes into the smoke cloud, and there are not enough minions here anymore to dive this tower. Look how much damage they ended up taking. Well, I guess they do still have minions, but way too much damage getting taken out by VVV. So both Leona and Vi took a lot of damage right there. While that's going on, TBD did take the bottom turret, and they're still diving again on Westrice here on top, but once again, his smoke cloud is off cooldown, and he is actually going to survive this. So this early game play has gone horribly, horribly wrong for VVV. They gave up first blood, they lost the tower, now they're having their inner tower getting pushed down in bottom lane as well, and they still have not managed to get this top tower or to kill Westrice. So just bad stuff happening everywhere, all over the map for VVV right now. And TBD is actually getting out to a pretty good lead right there. Annie's going to use her stun. She's going to have to flash over the wall as Kassadin teleports in. Cheese Beluga coming down, uses his teleport to help support this lane and keep this tower from falling. But it's just not a good start for VVV. This is not the way they wanted things to go. Note that Akali is, actually farming, whereas Mundo has already died and been forced to recall. And they're up both a tower and first blood, Team TBD is. So have to try and see what they can do in terms of snowballing off that, because this is a sizable early game lead. They're up about 1,500 gold at the 5-minute mark. That's a big, big early game lead. Largely due to the fact that, get snuggled down here, did not have flash, just barrier ignite, was not able to survive the 3v1 dive, whereas Westrice played it just about perfectly and used the smoke cloud, the Twilight Shroud, to, make it impossible for them to dive. Now, maybe one thing they could have done, if Leona had started with a pink, she didn't start with a pink, but if she had started with one, that, they could have killed Akali pretty easily. But that didn't happen, and as we saw, that gets Team TBD out to a pretty nice early game lead. Alright, so it's about a 1,000 gold lead. People have gone back to buy on both sides. Let's check in here in middle lane. Gets the stun onto Kassadin, and then somehow Broken Shard misses his Q, misses his resonating strike onto a stunned stationary Kassadin, but they did manage to burn his flash. Is not 6 yet, and was not able to get out of that just with movement alone, so did have to burn his summoner. VVV is still trying to get this tower up here in top lane, but they're just not having that much success, and because they still have their duo lane up here in top, Ezreal Leona is still on top, that means TBD can go right after this dragon. They have pinked it, both teams know what's going on here, but with 3 members of TBD down here, it looks like this is going to be their first dragon, actually blocking the cleaver, or briefcase, since it's corporate Mundo, blocking the briefcase going over the wall right there. So that's another early game pickup for TBD, and they take the first dragon in addition to the first tower and first blood, and they're in pretty good shape overall right now. In that middle lane, Riven is actually off to a nice start in mid. Look at Kassadin's about, 10 minion kills behind, and Riven has already grabbed that Brutalizer. In terms of the trinkets, since this is the 3.14 patch, if you're curious what people are doing in the competitive scene with trinkets, everybody's starting the yellow trinkets, the stealth ward, except that support Annie started with the lens, and that's been pretty common. Expect to see the people on VVV, expect to see someone, at least one person, if not 2 people, swapping over to the lens trinket as well as this game goes on. Now that's quite popular, so start with the ward trinket and then go over to the sweeping lens later on. Anyway, Kassadin hanging out here, but he is going to be spotted by this ward, and they have been putting a lot of effort into trying to kill Westrice and not really having a lot of success. So what right there, goes into the smoke cloud once again, dodges the Leona Zenith Blade. Now we've got support from Broken Shard Lee Sin coming in right now, but this is still a 3v2. Actually no, it's a 3v3 because Riven comes up from mid lane. Arthlon's going to get his stun down, flashes in, Wind Slash, going to pick up that kill on Kassadin. Meanwhile, now Ezreal getting low. He's going to cleanse the Ignite, but he's still going to fall. And now can Godchu manage to get out of this? Right now it is a 2-for-1 in favor of TBD. And Godchu, Leona, no escape skills. Not going to make it out of there either. So that is a 3-for-1 overall for Team TBD. Granted, Porpoise Pops is using this time to steal the red buff for VVV, but that is not going to be enough to make up for it. That's a big win for Team TBD. 3-for-1. And they may be able to get this. I'm not sure they'll be able to get this. They don't have that much damage up here in top lane, especially because Riven's farming instead of pushing the tower. But they're going to get some damage on top tower. This blue buff looks like it's going to be stolen away. And that was basically a disaster, again, for VVV, who's fallen even further behind. They're close to 3,000 gold behind right now. And they're not in very good shape, let's just put it that way. So they're going to need to pick up something at some point to try and turn this around. And they have to hope that they can get Kassadin going, because he is a long way behind Riven right now in that mid lane matchup. Alrighty, so what do we have right now? Well, more skirmishing between the teams. Looks like TBD wants to just get out of that top lane, and that's probably a good thing. So they stole the blue buff away from VVV and then took their own blue. Although they did have their red buff stolen. Did they take the red here? No, that red is still up. Okay. So what do we have right now in the game? Well, as we can see, it's 4-1 in overall kills. About, what, a 2,500 gold lead for TBD right now. That's a very sizable lead for this early in the game. They're at 4-1 in kills, 1-0 in towers. They are looking to fight here in mid lane. Akali's going to use her Shadow Dance, I should say, onto Kassadin, but Kassadin is 6. Cheese Beluga can simply riff walk away. One thing I should mention about the team composition here is that TBD did a really smart job to pick Akali in this matchup as a way of countering Kassadin. If you notice VVV, they've got Ezreal, famous for his mobility, can arcane shift away. Kassadin, famous for riff walk, can riff walk away. Akali actually does a pretty nice job of countering them because as long as she has her 3 charges on her ult, all 3 charges on Shadow Dance, she can follow someone even if they flash away, even if they arcane shift or riff walk away. So if Akali gets big in this matchup, she can actually chase down and kill those highly mobile champs. So keep an eye on that. Okay, in top we got a 2v2. It's a really nice Leona ult from Gachu. It's a very nice arcane and True Shot Barrage from Tails, and they're going to disengage from that fight. And meanwhile, while that was going on, the tower, what was it? The tower finally went down in top, so it equalizes 1-1 in tower kills thus far on the game. Meanwhile, while that's going on, TBD is applying some pressure in mid. They have backed off Cheese Beluga's Kassadin. He has to be careful, but Leona is coming in on the side of this. And note that the pink ward is going to give vision of that. Pretty good use of pink wards on this game. We've already seen a couple coming out, and that's a sign of teams that, well, or let's put it this way, maybe not super coordinated, but at least more coordinated than your typical solo queue game, where it seems as though people haven't gotten used to the whole notion of putting down pinks yet. One of the best places to put a pink is like at your own blue or at your own red, because it can sit there for 20 minutes, and that way you know that someone's not at your buff stealing it. That's actually a pretty good place to put one down. You know, obviously next to Dragon, next to Baron are obvious spots for pinks, but sometimes if you put them in a good spot, or this brush right here is also a really nice spot for pinks, sometimes they can sit there for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, granting vision, and just nobody walks across them, so nobody clears them. Alrighty, so who's strong right now in these matchups? Let's look at the gold total, shall we? Right now, most gold on Team TBD is on their Ezreal player. Actually, we've got a fight going on mid. Let's come back to this. Right there, we see the gank coming out onto Ezreal. He's going to try to get away, but not able to, and goes down very, very quickly indeed. So I didn't get a chance to look at that. And we've actually got another brawl going on in top lane. It's now 5-1 for Team TBD. Still sitting there at about 2,000 gold lead. Riven wants to get this, isn't going to get it. Teleport was coming in from Gaston, but it ends up getting canceled, and more pressure being applied mid. Over here right now, though, Broken Shard looks like he just had to flash away, and he's going to go back in. Annie's stun coming out right now from Bubba Dub. Godshoe goes very low. It's a nice Leona ult, though. He will fall, but he takes Lee Sin down with him. Meanwhile, this fight's still continuing. Mundo going to get stunned, but he uses Barrier at the perfect time. Does he have his ult up? No, just used it. So he's going to make it out of there. Good use of Barrier, as I just said. So that is going to be overall a 1-for-1. While that was going on, though, Riven did take the top turret. So TBD still in very, very good shape, and VVV just trying to survive here on the back foot. Has not had the early game they wanted. However, Arthalon sticking around a little too long in top lane. Kassadin is here. The problem is you can't really get away from Kassadin, so that is going to be a second kill picked up for Cheese Beluga. While that was going on, mid lane tower did go down, but tower kill traded for a champion kill. And the next objective is going to be this dragon here. Still, VVV has to be happy that Kassadin is getting some early kills, which they desperately need here. A little surprised to see the Hunting Guys item, though. Typically, people go Rod of Ages if they want the extra health and the extra mana and ability power on Kassadin. I'm a little surprised to see the Hunting Guys there. Not that it's a terrible item, but you just don't typically see that as much on Kassadin. Anyway, that is the second dragon of the match picked up for TBD, and they're in really good shape. They're over 4,000 gold ahead right now, which is really a lot here at the 13-minute mark. There is the sweeping lens being used to take out a ward, so if you haven't seen that before, that's a good example of it in practice. And now it looks like TBD is going to go back to base and try to spend some of this gold that they happen to be sitting on. Okay, wanted to look at this before. Now let's take a look at the gold totals. Didn't really have a chance to see that. Right now, Ezreal and Kassadin have the most gold for Team VVV. They're in the strongest shape. Ezreal has the most farm by a pretty wide margin on their team, the most minion kills. On the other side, it's pretty much a four-way split between all the solo laners. They're all right around 4,500 gold. They're all pretty equal right now And they've got, you know, they're basically ahead in every single lane right now. Also note that Akali has picked up her Gunblade already at, what, the 13-minute mark? And that is not a good sign for VVV, that Akali already has one of her key items so early on the game. Elsewhere, in terms of items, we've seen the Bloodthirster finished on both Lucian and Ezreal. Not surprising on Lucian, since Bloodthirster is one of his key items, but Ezreal, you don't see the Bloodthirster first Ezreal all that often. We'll see how this goes for Tails. It's not that it's a terrible item per se, but you just don't see it all that often from Ezreal players. I mean, Ezreal can be built about 6 different ways, but the Bloodthirster Rush, not nearly that common anymore. In terms of what the supports are doing, if you check out their items, we've got the Nomad's Medallion, which is going to turn into the, well, the Shirelia's Reverie replacement, whatever it's called. Talisman of Ascension, I think it is. An item that doesn't really fit that well on Leona, let's be honest, but it's going to be used here for the team utility. And in top lane, looks like Arthalan is overextending again. Can he manage to get out of this? Maybe. He is Riven, but the problem is he's up against Caston, and you cannot... very difficult to get away from Caston, but with the use of the Flash, looks like that is going to be the case. While that's going on, while Arthalan's being chased in top lane, and the rest of TBD is getting some damage on mid. And they got about a third of that, maybe a little, almost half actually of that tower, between a third and a half of that tower. And down in bottom lane, Akali still split pushing, dueling with Mundo. Neither one of them can really hurt the other one. So in the larger picture of the game, Team TBD is still in very good shape. Still at about a 4,000 gold lead. They've taken both. They had 3-1 in towers, 6-3 in kills, and they've taken both of the first 2 dragons. So really, at this point, it's kind of their game to lose. VVV needs to catch them in some kind of mistake, some point where they screw up and they get caught in a bad rotation or something like that. Because if this game just snowballs at its current rate, then TBD is going to win pretty easily in this particular one. But rest assured, there are some twists and turns in this game up ahead. Believe me. Believe you me. Let's look at the other support while we're right here. If you're curious, Annie has gone for the ability power item, the Frost Fang, for the bonus ability. Hasn't really gotten that much from the passive there, though. And honestly, this may not have been the best decision, just because it doesn't look like Annie's really getting that much gold from it. Maybe it would have been better just to get the one that Leona has, the Ancient Coin, Nomad's Medallion route. Look how much more gold Leona has from this one. And just because the active, the Shirelia's Reverie active is really useful, and that's why people pick that item in team play, just because it is the most useful active for engaging and disengaging. Okay, so we've still got that duel going on in bottom lane. Everybody else gathered around the blue buff of VVV. And there's actually quite a lot of ward coverage here. Check out the wards. Look at all that ward coverage. Really good for TBD. Not bad from VVV either. Note how they've got their jungle basically protected right there. And there's a duel going on in bottom lane, but neither side is going to die. Mundo, too much survivability, too much health regen with his ult. Westrice, not quite enough damage to finish that one off. So, 1v1. Inconclusive result. Westrice is still farming though, so you'd probably say he came out slightly ahead. And it's really kind of a 1-3-1 setup. 1v1 in top, 3v3 in mid, 1v1 in bottom lane, 1-3-1 split push. Seems to be what TBD is running right now. And at this point, we're just kind of waiting for the action to break out again. Dragons up in about 2 minutes. That may be the next time. Or for this blue buff to respawn, which is quite likely to be the next target that these teams are going after. In mid, it doesn't look like TBD is getting too much damage on this mid tower, still sitting where it has been for the last couple minutes right now. And I'm not quite sure what they're really doing. Perhaps they're trying to figure out where they want to go next, or trying to set a trap over here or something to that effect, but they seem a little uncertain on where they actually want to go and what they want to do. They've got this pretty sizable lead right now. The question is, where do they go next to try and make use of it? And it seems as though they're going to go back and buy in preparation, I'm assuming, for that dragon to be back up in a couple minutes. More good ward coverage coming out. Look at how good this ward coverage is for VVV. They have their jungle completely warded up, so they'll be able to see anyone coming in. Now, granted, they have no ward coverage on the river, but their own jungle in pretty good shape right now. Let's just look at items right now while we're kind of waiting for more to take place. Mundo, let's see, what has he done? It looks like he is rushing Spirit Visage. Pretty good item to get first against Akali. And Mundo, obviously, gets more life regen back from his passive and from his ultimate when he gets Spirit Visage. Kassadin appears to be, actually, I think he's going for a tier into Archangel. I think he's going for an Archangel staff here. He has the tier about halfway stacked up. Also has pieces of a couple other items. Got half of that Sonya's Hourglass. Ezreal, Bloodthirster into Pickaxe. Probably Last Whisper, but we'll have to see what he ultimately turns that into. The junglers both have Spirit of the Ancient Golem, which is what pretty much all the junglers buy. And we'll get to the items on TBD in a second. What does Westrice have? He's got the Gunblade, and now he's going for Zanya's Hourglass. Lucian, Bloodthirster into Zeal, and Riven has gone Hydra first. Brutalizer first, then Hydra, which is pretty standard for her. Okay, Dragon getting ready to pop. Let's see if we are going to get some more action from these teams right now. So Dragon's up. It's being started by TBD. They are aware of this on Team VVV. Let's see if they choose to come and fight for this. Doesn't look like they are, so just back that off. And that is now, what, the third Dragon that TBD has gotten? And that's where a lot of their lead is coming, now up to almost 5,000 gold. A big, big lead that they've got right now. They're going to have to deal with this minion push up here in top lane. But VVV is going to have to pull off something soon, or they're simply going to lose this game. They're getting snowballed out really rapidly. As we saw, they're really just defending their own jungle. They kind of have given up the ability to contest dragons and even barons. And they're going to have to do something soon. Now, they're getting a nice push here in mid on this tower. So we'll see if they're able to get this. Obviously, this would be a nice pickup. In comes Broken Shard. He's going to hit his Q on the God Choose Leona. Doesn't really do that much. Leona's pretty tanky, particularly when she has her W running. Gets that bonus armor and magic resist. And it looks like that's not going to be too much more. Rest assured, there is more action in this game, but we do seem to be at one of the very slow points right now in terms of action. We've got a big-time ward battle going on in the red side jungle, but much sound and fury signifying nothing right now at the moment. In terms of farming, pretty even overall. You can see the top lane duel just about, well, they actually haven't been in the same lane very often, but just about even, 138 to 136. Mid lane, Cassidy is behind, but that's not that bad for Cassidy. He usually does not outfarm his laning opponent. That's not that big a deal. And bottom lane, basically the same as well. Let's see if TBD is able to pull off this gank on Get Snuggled. Nope, not going to be able to. Mundo pops his ult, regenerates a ton of health with that Spectre's Cow little bonus health coming in. And that's not going to turn into much of anything. Doesn't have to use Barrier, doesn't have to use his Ignite. Kassadin hanging out up here. Remember, Kassadin does have Teleport, would be able to teleport into a fight if a big one breaks out. And looks like TBD wants to hide out here. No vision in that brush just yet, so it looks like they're setting a trap and want to bait this fight, want to try to get a fight down here in the bottom lane. They also have about over half this tower down, so if they can get this tower down, they can just keep snowballing this game. We said that they have a pretty nice gold lead, about 5,000 gold right now, and I mean, really, it's their game to lose. They're the ones who have to screw up to fall behind from this position, and so far have done a good job of avoiding mistakes. They've just basically been taking what's there on the map and well, taking advantage of mistakes that Team VVV has made thus far. Still waiting around here in this brush. Still no vision from VVV, but it doesn't look like they're going to fall for this particular trap. And again, we're just in really a quiet moment in the game right now. No big items coming out for a while. Right there, it looked like Tails is trying to hide in that brush in the lane, but not going to be spotted. And actually getting some really good harass on Robert XD. Now, right now, they're going to go in on TBD. We see the flashes in from both Riven and Annie, the culling coming out from Lucian, but this isn't really working, and a lot of people got low there. Vialt going down on Broken Shards. Caston's going to rip walk in. Can he get the kill on Broken Shard? No. Annie's going to pop off a stun while that's going on, but everybody on TBD is quite low, and Westrice now going to get caught here as well. He is going to get bursted down, so that's one kill for Vi, and everybody is still quite low, which is exactly what a team like this wants. Remember, they've got Caston, they have Ezreal, they have very good mobility, really good chasing power. Not going to be able to get any more kills, but that was an overly aggressive dive from TBD. They went for the play under this tower, and they basically didn't get it. They burned a couple flashes, Riven, flash on Riven, and the flash on Annie as well, and it just didn't really work out. Leona popped her W, her, what is it, her Eclipse, sorry, I can't remember the name of that, got the extra armor and magic resist, and just didn't die, basically, and then they're able to turn that fight around. Kassadin did not have to use his teleport, simply roamed down from around mid. So that's going to turn into a tower pickup for them, and that's really what they need. They need that global gold really badly due to the fact that they were, falling, over 5,000 gold behind. So they've gotten it down to, about 4,000? Obviously still a long ways behind, but they did get, a kill on Vi and another assist on Kassadin. And, we all know what Kassadin's going to do. He's going to scale up really, really well. Now he's got his Archangel staff done, and he'll be able to continue charging that. And it's going to be really tough to deal with Kassadin, particularly if he can continue to clean up more kills. I think he has the most gold on there. No, Ezreal still has slightly more gold. Actually, Ezreal got the pickaxe and the longsword, and now appears to be going for Trinity, has the Sheen. Anyway, over here, Godshu getting caught out again, but again, he's Leona, he's really tanky, and oh, that beautiful solar flare locking up 2 members of the team. Lee Sin's going in as well. The teleport coming in from Cassidy. Vi ult used on Annie, she will fall. Cassidy picks up the kill, and right now we're seeing more damage coming out. Lee Sin is still really, really low. Westrace goes low. Cassidy rip walks to pick up a 2nd kill. The Riven ult comes out. Westrace will fall. That's 3 kills now. Arthalon going low. The Ezreal True Shot Barrage flies through. A triple kill now from Cassidy. And Lucian just desperately running away from his life. Can anybody pick up Robert X. Lee? No, not going to be able to, but that was a 4-for-1 in favor of VVV, and that was exactly what they needed. So 4 kills and a tower. Can they get a 2nd tower right here? They still have everybody alive except Leona, so basically their full pushing power is still alive right here, and they're going to get at least a lot of damage on this tower, and it looks like they will pick this one up. The TBD does not want to contest this, so that is a 4-for-1 and 2 towers, and holy smokes, look who is right back in this game, only about 600 or 700 gold behind right now. So that 5k advantage for to be determined, disappearing in a hurry, a real hurry right now. The only good news for TBD is check out this dragon timer. Dragon's respawning in 10 seconds. This is just about perfect for them. VVV does have to go back to the base and heal up, so they're not in good position to contest this dragon, but that was still a miracle fight for VVV. That was exactly what they needed to get them back in it. They'll fall a little bit further behind from this dragon. This is actually going to be, what, the 4th? Yeah, the 4th dragon right now for team to be determined. And wow, that True Shot Barrage almost picked it up. So that's the 4th dragon for TBD, but they're only about 1,500 gold ahead right now, and they've thrown away a pretty sizable lead right now. We actually might see another fight here. Who's going to get this red buff? The red was taken by Ezreal, I think. Yes, Ezreal got it. He just got a refresh on his red. That was pretty open to anybody stealing it right there, but it looks like Ezreal got it with his Mystic Shot. So we really do have a new game here. And what was particularly damaging for TBD was who the kills went to. If you notice, Cassidy has 5 kills right now, and that is not what you want. He's got the Seraph's Embrace, the upgrade from Archangel Staff, and he should be sitting on quite a bit of gold. Yeah, he's sitting on 1,400 gold right now, so he'll be able to go back and get the needlessly large rod for his Zanyas. Presumably, that I would assume that's the next item that he wants here. Does he have enough to get that? No, he's going back. He's getting something else because he only got 1,500 gold. I guess we'll find out what he ends up getting. No, actually, looks like he's just heading over to bottom lane to deal with this split push. Okay, looks like he didn't go back to buy anything on that particular back. But that was a really good fight. If you noticed, Cassidy teleported into the fight and then just did what Cassidy does, clean up a sort of the sloppy end of a team fight, getting 3 kills and an assist, and obviously that's what they need to do. Ezreal also able to grab his Last Whisper, and that will, of course, give him a lot of the extra armor penetration, more attack damage. Good stuff all around there. One other thing about Team VVV is they do just have more in sort of the way of a tanky front line. If you look at their lineup, they've got Mundo, who is like ridiculously tanky. He has a Spirit Massage and now has finished the Sunfire Cape. They have Vi, who is also quite tanky, the Locket, and the Spirit of the Ancient Golem. And they also have Leona, who is, basically tank support, not mage. What we have here is a contrast between tank support in Leona and mage support in Annie. Anyway, we've got an engagement going in, so let's slow this down to half speed. We've got a really nice Vi ult followed by a Leona ult, but Annie gets a great Tibbers ult over the wall, and that's going to cause Cassidy to just get bursted down immediately by Robert X. Lee. By Westrace's Akali. Robert X is trying to kite in the background using the culling, and now Arthalon's going to go down as well, and this is a fight that just did not go well at all for Team VVV. I actually should go back and watch this engage once again at normal speed. Didn't do a very good job with commentary on that one. And that's the nice thing about it not being live. I can go back and check it again. So let's watch the engage right now. They're going to use Vi ult to go in initially onto Lucian, but he does a good job of staying in the back. It's a good Leona ult as well, but watch Annie comes in, flashes over the wall, Tipper stun coming in. Riven just dealing all kinds of damage in the middle of this fight. Lucian does a great job of kiting backwards. Cassidy was taken out immediately in the fight, and VVV just forced to run away with Leona and Ezreal, the only ones who get out of that one. So that is a 3-for-0 right there. And really one of the keys to the fight was Cassidy dying so quickly. He really didn't get off much of anything in that fight. So TBD, as soon as they've thrown the game, they immediately get a counter throw from Team VVV, who forced an overly aggressive engagement, 0-for-3. And then, to be determined, is going to turn this into a Baron. An easy pickup right there. Yes, True Shot Barrage flies through, but not going to be able to get that. It would have been really impressive if Ezreal had managed to pick that one up, but no, not going to happen. We're back up to almost a 6,000 gold lead, and the ball is right back in TBD's court again. They're in great shape, and once again, it's going to be up to them to try to close this one out. So now they're ahead, what, 4 dragons? They have 4 dragons and a Baron. VVV has none of them, no dragons, obviously no Barons yet. And they're actually VVV is ahead in towers 4-3, but they've fallen pretty far behind in the global gold. So it's 5.5k global gold right now. And they're just going to have to, well, try to catch To Be Determined out in a mistake again. They do still have a really strong Kassadin. They have a Mundo who's extremely difficult to kill, very, very tanky. Has that, when he has his ult running, going to be very hard to take him out. And they also have Ezreal, who's of course super slippery and hard to catch. But that said, they're going to need, probably going to need To Be Determined to make more mistakes to be able to get back into this one. And what do we have going on here? Right now, VVV actually pushing straight up mid, and that could be very dangerous. They could be cut out in a flank here. Remember, everybody on To Be Determined does have Baron buff, so I don't think VVV really wants to pick this fight. And indeed, it looks like they're trying their best to get out of here right now, retreating over on the north side of the map, getting back into their jungle. And it looks like we're not going to see an engagement. As for To Be Determined, they appear to be rotating down to the bottom lane, which would be an easy pickup on this tower right here. And we'll see if they can manage to get into the base of VVV from here. This tower is surely going to fall, but the question is, can they get into the actual base by killing the inhib turrets and getting onto the inhibitor itself? Alright, so here comes the push. Let's see, they're going to need to poke down this tower. There is a nice use of the Lucian passive, double shot onto that inhib. But one thing that's important to keep in mind is, here in 3.14 patch, and preseason for Season 4, the inhib turrets now regenerate health. And I actually don't really like this. I think it makes it a little too easy to turtle. But if you notice, that tower will slowly regenerate health. So TBD can't just, you know, get a little damage and then go back to base and get a little damage. That inhib tower will eventually go all the way back down to all the way back up to full health. So they're going to have to be careful, and we'll see what they do in terms of picking engagements down here in the bottom lane. They have to be very careful they don't get Leona ulted under the tower, because a good Leona solar flare can lock up virtually the entire team. Over here, Westrice hanging out, just waiting for a chance to come in and flank. Do they see him? No. VVV does not know he's up there right now, but he's just sort of waiting for a chance to dive in. They don't seem to be getting too much. They could potentially just rotate and grab this tower. That would be the safer play. The higher risk, higher reward play is to continue sieging and trying to get this tower. They are getting some decent poke, but not as good maybe as they would have liked. A little bit of damage, but Mundo regenerates super fast. Wow, that was a nice Lee Sin dash in and dash out again. And Westrice is getting a little bit away from the teams. They better be a little bit careful here that Akali doesn't get jumped on and killed in this matchup. By the way, there's also a huge minion wave pushing in top lane, so just keep that in mind. And Lucian's going to go off to try and take red buff, and I think they know that he's there, so that might be the signal for VVV to go in. Nope, apparently not. Apparently decided not to. And VVV is now, TBD is now rotating over here to mid. They don't have any minions, which is kind of a problem. But looks like they're just going to tank this tower, get this one. Anyway, Arthalon chooses this moment to go in, but he is taking so much damage. He's going to get vi-ulted. He will go down almost immediately, and so much damage being exchanged. Tails will fall right there. We see more damage coming. The Zanya is being used in the middle of this fight. It's a very disorganized fight. Now Kassadin's going to go in. He is going to pick off Westrice's Akali at the very tail end of that fight. It is a 3-for-2 right now. Actually, now a 4-for-2. And the only one still up right now is Kassadin. He is the only one still alive. So that fight, which looked a little disjointed at first, ended up going well for TBD. When Arthalon's Riven got bursted down immediately, it didn't look so good, but he did get a stun on 3 or 4 people, and then Annie was able to power her stun on top of that, and they ended up coming out on top. Unfortunately for them, they didn't have minions, and with Kassadin at full health from the fountain, they did not feel like they could tank that tower. So they're going to back off with the lesser prize of just getting Dragon and this tower right here, the middle inner tower. So overall, not a bad sequence. You can see they're up to a 10,000 gold lead, which is quite large right now. Not a bad sequence by any means, but they didn't get the inhib tower, and they didn't get the inhibitor. So VVV is probably pretty happy with that. The Baron buff is now out. To Be Determined did not get an inhibitor. So that's actually a pretty decent hold. I mean, not great. They fell further behind, but it could have been worse. It certainly could have been worse for VVV in that particular fight. As it is, though, they've still got a lot of ground to make up. They are way behind. And they're increasingly losing map presence because they've lost 5 towers now. They only have 1 tower left up outside their base. This tower will eventually heal up and be back to full, so that's good news for them if To Be Determined can't get down there and continue pressuring it. In terms of gold, let's check out who's got the most. Right now, it looks like Robert X. Lee's Lucian is the most, 13k, followed very closely by Arthalon's Riven, and Westrice's Akali. And then on the other side, Cassidy has now taken over as the top gold champion on TBD. It's sitting at 7 kills now on the match. And we may have another fight in the area around this blue buff. Baron is respawning in a little over a minute, so that will be a source of contention for these teams. VVV probably does not have the timer on that Baron, so that gives To Be Determined a pretty big edge in a Baron fight, and they have blanketed the area around Baron with wards. Very good ward coverage. Very good as well for the other team, so we'll keep an eye on this and see if there's an engage. Right now, oh, Robert Ixley getting caught out, and that's a disaster for To Be Determined. They've lost their AD for absolutely nothing. Plus, he used his barrier there in an unsuccessful attempt to survive. Just got caught away from the rest of his team a little bit too far. Goes down to Cassidy and Ezreal. And that's a pretty big deal because, well, I mean, Lucian's, what does he have, 13k gold? Yeah, Lucian's got the most gold in the game. So losing him, even if just for 45 seconds, that means To Be Determined can't push. They're not going to have their AD present. They can't make a play for this Baron right when it spawns. And VVV's got a little window of opportunity here. Not much, but they've got a chance to try and do something while they have that 5v4 advantage to try and make a play somewhere, even if it's only getting like a red buff. Well, it doesn't look like that's up right now, but just to do something. By the way, do your games look like this in terms of word coverage? That if not, that's why these guys are in Challenger, and all of the rest of us are not in Challenger, because they coordinate pretty well. Oh, scumbag Broken Shard going in, interrupting the recall. I don't think they realized that Cassidy was right there, though, and now it looks like VVV is going to turn this around. They're going to pick up 1 kill. Leona ult coming out, gets the stun onto Lee Sin, and this fight is now continuing. That Talisman of Ascension was popped in there as well. Leona will fall, but TBD is still in good shape. Cassidy goes and gets another kill right there. We're going to see Vi fall on the back end of this fight, and but right now they're just waiting for Akali to come out of that smoke cloud. Zanya's used, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Oh, no, actually does manage to go over the wall, but still dies to Ignite. Cassidy cleans up another kill. How many kills is that now? 11 now for Cheese Beluga. And, oh my god, please ban Cassidy. There's a reason why he's banned in 95% of games. 11-2-3 on the game. Baron is back up, and VVV is in great position to try and do this. They have killed Broken Shard, the jungle Lee Sin. There's his body right there. So no jungler up. Of course, there's no jungler up for VVV either. Their Vi jungler is also dead. So no smites on either side. Robert is going to have to try to pull off a magical steal here. When is the culling coming up? It is about to come off cooldown, so he will have the culling to use over the wall. So we've just got a question of who can last hit this Baron. There comes the culling, doing pretty good damage. Mundo's going to use his barrier, and who is going to get this one? It will go to VVV. That is the steal they needed, and now Robert is in all kinds of trouble. He is going to get bursted down and taken out. Did anybody die there on the part of VVV? No, it's a double kill for Tails. 2 more kills picked up for VVV. The throws, the throws, the throws. Oh my goodness gracious. It is now only a 4,000 gold advantage for To Be Determined. So what happened to that 10k gold lead? Well, what happened was Lucian got caught out. Then VVV was able to pick a fight 5v4. And Cassidy just dumpstered everybody in those fights. 11 of the 17 kills, and the advantage is just completely swung in this game right now over to VVV. They are in really good shape. Yes, they're still behind in gold, but they've got that Baron buff. If they can get some towers while they have the Baron buff, they could easily be ahead in gold by the time that they come out of this one. And, well, you know, just look to swing this game on their head. So I wouldn't say we're in a completely new game here because there is still a gold deficit, but gold's not everything, and certainly you got to feel like TBD is going to be wondering about what they're doing. They just threw a humongous advantage. What kind of mental state they're in right now? Because we've seen teams go on tilt, even at the very high professional level. So they're going to have to stay cool and try to avoid making further mistakes. Just wait out this Baron. Baron will be on VVV for about 2 more minutes, just a little over 2 more minutes. Wait out this Baron and see if they can, well, calm themselves, collect themselves, and get back in this one. They still have some really strong champions. Check out Riven. She's on, what, like 5? Riven has 5 items right now, is sitting on a Fortitude pot as well. Westrice's Akali has already gotten 3, is what, sitting on 4 items right now. Their Lucian is pretty disgustingly fed. He's on 5 items as well. He's gotten a Banshee's Veil to try and deal with Kassadin and Vi, so he can't just get Vi ulted as long as he's got that Banshee's Veil. But we'll see. They're going to be on the defensive. TBD now has to play the opposite side. Instead of pushing, they're the ones who have to defend against the push and try to stall it out. And it looks like VVV wants to push the bottom lane. It's a good choice. This is the lane that's furthest away from Baron, and if they could get an inhibitor in this game, in this lane, that would also help to defend their own inhib as well. So the bottom lane is a good choice for them as far as what lanes to push. Now, they don't have to dive this turret. They can also be a little bit more patient. It looks like they're going to send Kassadin off towards top lane. Remember, Kassadin does have teleport off of cooldown, so they could do the 4-1 split push. 4 in bottom lane, 1 in top with teleport. They're going to grab this dragon. That'll be a nice pickup. That'll get them about... Actually, they got... the new dragon gives you even more than gives you even more gold. So I think they got about 1,500 global... Somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 global gold for that. Couldn't really see exactly how much they got, but a pretty substantial amount. And what are they now down? About 2,000 gold. So really closing in up. Look at this, standing on the ward. But a pink ward comes out. Nice use of the pink to reveal that there's nothing in that particular bush. Anyway, Kassadin's still in top lane. He's still split pushing. So TBD actually either needs to give up this tower or force an engagement because they're getting split pushed out right now. And we'll try to see what they do. Banshee's Veil goes down on Robert, so that's an area of concern for him. Kassadin's still up there, still pushing. So are they going to force a fight? Or are they just going to give this up? Well, we're going to have to see what they do. They're kind of in a really unfortunate position right here. VVV is doing a good job of forcing them into a really, a devil's choice. They've chosen to send Riven up to top lane to 1v1 there. So Arthalon goes up to top lane, but we still got we got, what, a 4v4 in bot and a 1v1 in top. Actually, no, now they're switching Riven and Akali over to top lane. Looks like they just want to kill Kassadin, but that means that this bottom lane is where VVV is still going to have the edge. Their Baron is about to time off, maybe 15 seconds left of Baron, so try to keep an eye on both sides of the map. Wards going over the wall for both sides, wards everywhere, and Cheese Beluga just still hanging out up there in top. Remember, he does have teleport, but he could probably just rift walk over as fast as using his teleport at this point. So are these towers going to go down? Can VVV complete the comeback here? That's from being so far behind up here in top. And wow, Kassadin's actually going to flash away. Westrice going in. He has used the Hextech Gunblade, has used his Ignite. Cheese Beluga desperately trying to get away. Can Westrice chase this down? Hard to say. Can he get in range for a Shadow Dash? No, Kassadin's going to blink away. So a very successful job of forcing Kassadin away, forcing him to use his Flash. Actually, I think would have gotten the kill if Kassadin didn't have his Flash. Well, Westrice had to use his Flash and Ignite too. So Flash for a Flash traded. But that's a pretty successful defense by TBD. They're able to hold off their inhibitors from being pushed, and the Baron is timed out for VVV. Of course, VVV used that Baron very well. Look at this. Dead even in gold. Literally no difference. They are exactly equal in global gold. And now we really do have anybody's game sitting here. So, like I said, can VVV complete the comeback? Can TBD survive from their multiple throws? They were ahead by 5,000 gold, and then they threw, and then they're ahead by 10,000 gold, and now they've thrown it again. Can they build up a lead yet again for the 3rd time in this one? We'll see. A lot of it really will come down to what's going to happen between the Akali versus Kassadin duel and the mid laners, the Riven versus Riven, and then the Lucian against Ezreal setup right there. Mundo is not really there to duel. Mundo's there to soak up damage and be a tanky front line. So as we said, it's really more of a damage lineup on to be determined versus a more tanky lineup on VVV. VVV does have all 6 towers now outside the base, and it's going to be a little hard for them to pick an objective now because there's nothing except these inhib towers, and they didn't get any damage on these inhib towers. They got a little on top, but it's healing up as we speak, so that will eventually go away if VVV is not able to get back to top and push it again. Wards everywhere in the jungle, as you might imagine. Both teams have the jungle on the north side of the map warded up very, very nicely. And we seem to be in one of those lulls in the game. We probably won't see anything until this Baron pops up again, just because neither one of these teams wants to make a mistake. Another really bad lost team fight could be the end of the game at this point in time. If somebody gets aced, like 5 for 1 or 5 for 0, that will probably be it, because a lot of the towers are already down, 6 to 5 in terms of towers. Most of them are already down. And the death timers are getting to be very, very long indeed at this stage of the game. We'll take a quick look at how much gold everybody has. As far as VVV, Cassidy does have the most gold at 17k, followed closely by Tails as Ezreal at 16, a little over 16,000. On the other team, Robert X. Lee is still leading in gold. However, West Rice is Akali getting close at 15k, and then Arthalon's Riven is next closest at 14k. Supports and junglers are a bit further behind, as you would expect. In terms of the items, as the two teams continue to posture over here around this blue buff, who's going to get this blue? It goes over to Tails Ezreal, so that's a successful blue buff steal. In terms of items, Mundo starting to get really tanky. He has a Thorn Mail and a Randuin's right now, so he has got 336 armor. Very, very nice. Caston now has, now has 6 items. Well, that actually could be a problem, because Caston's finished off with his build, and he's even got a blue pot. He's 804 ability power, so he is not going to, but he's not going to get any stronger. So that could be a problem, actually, for VVV, because Caston is maxed out, and he can't get any more items. He's still down in bottom lane, still looking to teleport into a fight, as both teams back off. And Baron, we're just waiting for somebody to make a play around Baron. Tails Ezreal, let's see, go ahead and highlight him. He's got now has his Trinity, Bloodthirster, Last Whisper, Guardian Angel, and got a BF sword, probably for an Infinity Edge. So he's getting close to maxed out as well. Very, very strong on a 5.5 item build. Akali, let's see, Gunblade, Deathcap, Void Staff, and the Zanya's Hourglass. But look at this. Right now, baiting this. Caston does not know that Akali's there. Oh, going to go right in. Ripwalk and Flash being used. Zanya's pops out, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The Smoke Cloud for the slow, and West Rice will get this. Gets the shutdown. So a straight 1v1. Caston is now down for 65 more seconds. Is TBD going to use this to take Baron? Well, they're forcing a fight. You're going to force a 5v4. Akali's on her way from the bottom lane. Does VVV want a challenge for this? Baron's getting pretty low. Do they actually have vision? Yeah, they can see what's going on. They've got the word coverage, but do they want to go in and fight for this is the question. It looks like they're rotating towards mid, actually, and no, it doesn't look like they are going to contest this. Baron gets low, and there it goes. Wow, it was actually sitting there at 22 health for a second. Holy cow. That could have been stolen. That's not good. Looks like the smite was a hair early. But that 1v1 pickoff in bottom lane turning into a Baron now for TBD. And will this be the edge they need? They're not ahead by much in the way of gold, but in a close game like this, having that Baron buff could make all the difference. It looks like they're going to pick a fight on this top tower. Cassidy's still down for another 15 seconds. I don't think VVV is going to fight this. They're just trying to stall until Cassidy can be back up again. 10 more seconds now until Caston's back up. So can VVV stall this out? They need to try and hold this tower for 5 more seconds. Caston's got the home guard boots. He can be up here in just a few seconds. There he is. He's back up. He's racing up from the fountain. And it looks like VVV is going to hold this tower. Looks like they are going to hold on to this. Right now, TBD trying to get out of here. They've managed to slip Akali into the brush once again. Is he going to come out and jump on somebody? And it looks like we are going to have them engage. So let's pop this down to half speed again so we can watch this team fight. West Rice is going in, but he gets exhausted right now. Lee is going to get kicked backwards. We see the culling coming out. The use of the sweeper to keep Akali out of the smoke cloud. Leona ult not that good. Didn't really hit everybody. Caston jumps backwards here. Randuin slow coming out. And it looks like VVV is disengaging successfully from this fight. They are doing their best. We'll go back to normal speed there. Annie's stun is going to hit Tails, but nobody ends up dying. Look at that. Everybody's still alive. A lot of red health bars, but nobody falls in this fight. So an inconclusive engagement. It was a pretty good idea by TBD to hide Akali over here in the brush and try to jump out and kill somebody, but weren't able to pull that off. A nice use of the Zanya's Hourglass from Cassidon right there. Cheese Beluga going invulnerable just for the few seconds he needs. And if you notice in terms of the trinkets right now, check out what they've got on VVV. Mundo, he's got the Oracle's Lens. This was the one that reveals not just wards, but also reveals champions as well, I believe. Or no, he doesn't have the one that reveals champions. Does anybody have the one that reveals champions? They really should upgrade to the one that reveals champions as well so that they can see. Nope, doesn't look like they have. I thought that they did, but they do have the, let's see, Cassidon has the Vision Totem, the one that gives you a stealth ward, and Tails also has a Vision Totem. So anyway, basically when Akali pops into the smoke cloud, they can just hurl out a pink ward, and then they'll be able to see Akali immediately. So that's their way of trying to deal with the stealth. I thought that they would just spend the trivial gold to upgrade this to its tier 3 form, but it looks like they didn't do that. Maybe I'm reading this item wrong, but I don't know. Maybe this is the final upgraded form. I need to look back at these items, maybe. But in any case, they have ways of dealing with the stealth that Akali has, her innate stealth. And that's their way to try to keep Akali from just being invulnerable in a game where there's no longer an Oracle's Elixir in the way there was in the past. Okay, so everybody went back and bought. Everybody is that much closer. Like, almost half the champions in the game right now have 6-item builds. Everybody's just about maxed out. A lot of people creeping up around 20,000 gold, which is typically where you max out on items, around 18 to 20k gold. And in terms of the overall gold, it's still just a 2,000 gold lead for Team To Be Determined. Their Baron's up for 1 more minute. VVV will probably just try to continue turtling this until it's up. But again, nobody's gotten an inhib on either side yet. We've seen a lot of kills, 17 to 17 in kills, 6 to 6 in towers. It's pretty darn close still. It's just who is going to be able to win these team fights is what it comes down to. Can, you know, Kassadin stay alive and clean up the team fight? Can Akali dance around using her shadow dance and pick people off? Can Ezreal stay safe and kite? Can Lucian use the culling to dash into the backlines? Can Annie and Leona get off really good area effect stuns with their solar flare and their Tibbers? I mean, that's what's going to decide this match. It is a very, very close one. And one person getting caught out of position could end up deciding this one. So even though To Be Determined, you know, they got that Baron a minute ago, they haven't really done that much with the Baron. They got another dragon there, and they're, what, about 3,000 gold ahead right now? But at this stage of the game, 3,000 gold really is not that much. This is not like the 5-minute mark where 3,000 gold's a lot. I mean, it's 80,000 to 77,000. That's not very much in terms of percentage at all. Even the supports have quite a bit of items. Leona's got her Randuins, in addition to her Talisman of Ascension. Annie has just got, like, all kinds of... Annie's got, what, 169 ability power. She's got a Void Staff and a Haunting Guise, and even has a Banshee's Veil. So again, apparently trying to avoid just getting blown up in a second. I'm a little surprised by the Banshee's Veil. I guess that's for survivability. It seems like a slightly odd decision, but... Against Kassadin and against Vi, I can see why you'd want that, just for the extra survivability. And of course, as we saw before, Lucian also has a Banshee's Veil. That one makes a lot more sense. That's to stop Vi from just ulting him at the beginning of the fight, so that his Banshee's Veil has to be popped. On the other side, VVV has gone for Guardian Angels. So Vi has a Guardian Angel, Ezreal has a Guardian Angel. They, instead of going for Banshees, have gone for Guardian Angels. Arthalon also has a Guardian Angel as well, but on Riven, you kind of expect that. GA is a very common item on Riven. In any case, no, Baron is now out on To Be Determined, so they no longer have that edge. Baron will be up in 2 more minutes. And when are we going to see the big team fight? It can't be too much longer in this one. As we said, they're at a stage of the game where the death timers are really long, and there's not much left in terms of the bases. So once somebody, you know, if a team decisively loses a team fight, that's going to be it. They're going to lose their inhibs, and that's going to be the end of the game. So we're just waiting, looking for the right moment, looking for the right engage, and trying to get a good fight in this one. Look at all these vision wards we have around the map too. We've got, what, 4 vision wards out on the map? Don't see that too often. So Arthalon's going to go off the top lane. Looks like he's going to go and try to split push. And the rest of the team is just going to hang out in mid right now as far as To Be Determined goes. VVV pushing together, S5 up the mid lane, looking to get that one engagement that's going to win them the team fight. Riven actually now sneaking back over here, and TBD over here in their jungle right now. So VVV pushing up mid. Is this going to be the fight that we're waiting for? And we see a little bit of a standoff right here. But oh, here comes Riven sneaking in from the back line. And VVV is not in a good position right now. They're actually in a serious danger of getting flanked. And they're actually taking a fair amount of poke here as well. Now Broken Shard taking all kinds of damage. That's not good. So the fight looks like it's finally coming. Out comes the Leona ultimate. Godshoot goes down immediately, but he did get his Leona ult off. We see the Oracle's lens coming out right now for vision. And right there, Broken Shard jumps over the wall. Porpoise pops. Guardian Angel goes down. Broken Shard still alive. Mundo trying to tank this up as long as possible. Is doing a good job of tanking, but Arthalon is on the carries in the back lines. Lee Sin has now fallen. Annie actually gets a double kill in all of this. Riven's Guardian Angel falling as well. The one for Vi has already been popped, so that's going to be it for Porpoise Pops. Tails running over to the left side. Kassadin goes back in, but no, doesn't get the kill. Westrice wins that 1v1 duel, so he is going to pick that one up. Ezreal, the only one still alive, and wow, when all the smoke clears, TBD coming out ahead, 4 for 1. Really a disjointed team fight, kind of a weird engagement right there, but they did manage to get VVV in a bad position, looped around here, kind of came in from behind and forced a fight that I don't think VVV really wanted. And now it's going to be up to Tails. He's going to have to try to hold this out somehow for, what is this, 40 to 45 more seconds. I don't think he can do that, actually. That's one inhib down. Now the second inhib going down in bottom lane. Oh, Tail's getting really low. West Rice is not invisible while he's right next to those Nexus turrets. They do reveal stealth units. Another inhib going down. Not really sure why they took down that second tower there. Could have just stayed in mid lane, but that's another Nexus turret down. Still 20 more seconds, and this looks like it's going to be it. I don't think that TBD can fail to lose, and no, they don't. They will pick this one up, and indeed take this one at the back end of that decisive fight at the 52-minute mark. So game over, victory to team to be determined in this particular match. Yeah, so they were ahead by 5,000 gold and through the lead. They were ahead by 10,000 gold and through the lead, but finally did finish this one off with a 9,000 gold lead at the end. And check out all the gold total. Quite a few people up around 20,000 gold. Way more gold here in Season 4 than there was in Season 3. So in any case, I hope people enjoyed this game. As I said, I thought this was the most entertaining of the games that was played over the weekend. If you'd like to see more, let me know. I can get more replays from these games. I don't think too many people saw these games because when I saw on stream, there was like 10,000 people watching. Obviously, that's a fair amount, but not like LCS numbers. So if you want to see more, let me know. In any case, until next time, have a great week, guys, and I will see you again soon.